Hey guys, I'm Jay Mamie from thejmaymie.com. Excited to bring you another segment on how to thrive. So let's get started. Hey everyone, I wanted to take out a few minutes to share with you a little bit of my personal experiences in working with potential colleagues or clients, or anytime I've had a situation where I've had to really showcase myself and what I do and what I'm offering that other person in a way that was brief. So I get asked this question all the time: hey Jay, what do you do in your presentations? You've been doing this for so long in multiple different businesses, and you've had a chance to have a measure of success at it. So what do you do? And I wanted to share with you what I share with our organization every time we get into a training on how to give an effective presentation. What I want to say though before we get started here is that a presentation could be done any place, anywhere, anytime. It doesn't have to be a presentation that is formalized in an office with a projector or some kind of fancy machinery or a laptop. A presentation could be done verbally. A presentation could be done on a notepad. I got started in a business a long time ago where we were actually encouraged to use legal pads as our presentation pieces. So because of that, I've mastered the legal pad presentation. And by the way, with all the new technology that you can do presentations virtually online and all of the fancy stuff you can do, it's great. But there's something about a basic belly-to-belly, face-to-face presentation with a legal pad that has a warmth to it. It has a good starting of a relationship to it. And that's never going to change, by the way. Now, that being said, though, if you don't have a legal pad, it's okay. As long as you follow an outline, then it doesn't matter what forum, what resource, which mechanism you use to present, it's still going to turn out okay if you follow a very simple outline. Now, I want you to also know that presentations do not have to be 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour. I know there are many of you, and those of you that know me and have worked with me, that I often term the phrase diarrhea of the mouth. That means that you talk too much, right? You're talking blah, 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 when really you could be very effective with just blah, or maybe blah and BL, right? You don't have to get crazy with more than you need to in terms of verbiage and wording and phrasing and making more points than you need to. So don't throw up on people. That being said, this presentation is how to have something very effectively as an eye-opener. This is an eye-opener presentation that, once again, could be done on a legal pad, on a laptop, on whatever resource you use to connect on virtual meetings, or, as I often use it, a verbal presentation. A verbal presentation is also very effective in creating intrigue and fascination, which is the whole purpose of a 5-minute presentation. It's not to expect that the person is going to do business with you. It's not to expect the person will join you in business. It's not to expect someone's going to make a major decision just because they've heard you for 5 minutes. It is a planting of a seed. That's the purpose of a presentation that hopefully will lead to a follow-up. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's get started. I call this the 4 C's presentation. The 4 C's presentation, and you'll see why. First thing I want to mention though, you better have your intro down, and your intro is your personal story. Now, I didn't say your personal biography. I didn't say a personal thesis on your whole life. No one's interested in that, by the way. But they are interested in hearing, how did you get here? Why did you do this? What's impressing you about the company you're with, and what value did you find personally that is what created you to make a decision to get involved? People want to hear that story. They want to hear where you came from and try to make a connection, connect the dots. If you leave that part out of it, like a lot of novices do, you're making a big mistake, because you're leaping right into fact and information and head nonsense and head information. And the academics of whatever you do and whatever you're proposing, the business that you're in, without getting first to know that person and building an intimate type of connection. And you can build intimate connection when you get personal with them, and what more way to get personal than sharing your story. It takes a minute to share your story, but you can get mileage out of that. Very, very important. So don't forget, take about a minute or so to share your story, maybe 30, 45 seconds to share your story. You believe it or not, 30, 45 seconds goes a long way if you know how to be poignant in your approach. But share your story. First, number one. Then you better talk about the company. You have to give people an understanding of the company that you're with. Why? Establishes credibility. I can't tell you how many times I've seen and I've heard and I've watched people do presentations and they never share a personal story. They speak very little on the company or the credibility of the company, and they jump right into a product, or they jump right into what the company does, and they jump into closing that person. It's a big mistake. You've got to first you've got to first tell that person or share with that person who your company is, not to establish so much the company, but to establish the credibility, the validity of the company, how solid the company is. And by the way, that doesn't need to take 2 hours to do that. You don't need to have brochures and videos and all sorts of information like that. It has to be just enough that they can understand the company you're with is solid, strong, reputable, and creates credibility. Okay? That is very important if they're going to pay attention to the rest of it. Why? Because if you shortchange that portion of the credibility part in the company, here's what's going to happen. As you're in step 2, 3, and 4, they're still thinking, who's the company? Who are they? And they're wondering if the company's solid. So they're not really paying attention to 2, 3, and 4 if you haven't established, at least to a certain degree, to an adequate degree, that the company is credible. Does that make sense? Then you best showcase your concepts. Whatever it is that you offer. I know in our company, the opportunity that I've been a part of for quite some time, our concepts are all financial education, financial empowerment, financial awareness, financial literacy. So we use concepts that deal with impressing people, impressing them with financial education. You may be in a situation where it's totally different from something that's intangible like financial education. You might be in a tangible product or a tangible service. Well, guess what? Whatever it is that you've got to offer, it's time to impress. It's time to showcase what you do and the value of it. Now, as I said earlier, it's not to give a major presentation on every aspect of the services or the products that you offer, because that's not going to get you further. It's not going to give you any more credibility or any more enthusiastic approach from that person or interest from that person. In fact, it'll probably drown them out if you give too much. But just enough that they are impressed with what you offer. In other words, they have to say to themselves as you're going through that, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. That is something that I wasn't aware of before I spoke to you, which is, by the way, what they're thinking in the back of their minds, which is what creates further intrigue. You have to impress with your concepts. Number 3, the third C is compensation. If you're involved in an opportunity where you're building an organization of like-minded professionals, then you better not forget to talk about the money. People get involved in opportunities or careers or businesses, whatever you want to call it, however you phrase it, when they believe in the company, they believe in the service, and they feel there's money to be made. If you don't express to them in that couple of minutes that there is significant money to be made, then you will not only shortchange yourself, but you're going to shortchange that intrigue that you've created in them by not satisfying that hunger to know, can I make money here? How long will it take me to make money here? See, you can get everything right and forget that one, and someone will still walk away unfulfilled because you've loaded them with academics of company, products, and so on. But the bottom line is, you didn't share with them how much they could earn. Company, concepts, compensation. Let's get to the 4th C. The 4th C is commitment. Now that you've expressed to that individual what your company offers, the credibility of the company, the kind of earnings they can generate, now it comes time to, not requiring a commitment, as a big commitment for them to make a major decision. Remember, it's a 5-minute presentation. It's an eye-opener. But the commitment you're looking for is a commitment that says, I'm interested in learning more. I'm committed to finding out other resources. I'm committed to watching the video. I'm committed to having a follow-up phone call. I'm committed to coming to your office. I'm committed to meeting with you again. That's the commitment that you're looking for. It's the only commitment that really is relevant, that is appropriate after a 5-minute presentation. I mean, what kind of commitment can you actually think you're going to get from a brief eye-opener? I think a lot of people, and novices, I'm going to say, in business, oftentimes think that they're going to have, they're going to have some big commitment made from that prospect after a 5-minute meeting, and boy, are you in for a surprise. That's not going to happen. but you can get a commitment for them to give you another opportunity to speak further at length about your company, your opportunity, your service, or your product. The 4 C's presentation: company, commitment, company credibility, concepts, compensation, and commitment. You continue to practice that outline, you'll have a great presentation, whether it's verbal, legal pad, notebook, webinar, however the resource is, you follow this outline, and I know you'll have lots of success, and I'm looking forward to you having success in your business. Take care.